Hello, I'm Viddy of Video Games for Fun, and welcome to another First Impressions video, the first time I've done one since Super Mario Odyssey, which reminds me I should probably do a review of that at some point. But anyways, so Mario Tennis Aces has just come out, and I've played it for 3 hours, and here are my impressions. Now there's something I probably should mention which might potentially influence how I feel about the game. And as with almost any game I play, I try not to compare it to other games, like, oh, this Final Fantasy is not as good as this Final Fantasy, and all that stuff. What I am basically saying is, the only Mario Tennis games I played before this one were the Nintendo 64 one, the Game Boy Color one, and the GameCube one. And of course the Game Boy Color one featured an RPG adventure sort of a mode which I never completed, but it was a very cool concept. And Mario Tennis Aces, as you probably already know, is the first to feature an adventure sort of single player experience of that nature since Power Tour, I think it's called. With saying all that, I have not played the Wii U game Ultra Smash, and I am aware that the reception to it was not exactly positive. But were my reactions to Mario Tennis Aces positive? Let's find out. First off, here's my personal recommendation when you're playing the game for the first time. Whether you played the demo or not, it's probably best to start with the adventure mode because you will also be taught the basics of the game, as well as complete more of the adventure mode while doing so. So in saying that, this is the order in which I played the different modes of the game. First up, there is free play, which is essentially the exhibition mode of the game, and it can be played with more than one person. Also, I don't have any multiplayer impressions of the game at this point, but I'll come back to that. After redoing the tutorial, just to remind myself of what I experienced on the demo a few weeks ago, which mind you was fairly positive, I decided to engage in a few exhibition matches against the AI in singles and doubles, and it's fun, but there is a lack of customization options. At least that's what I feel, and maybe this might be changed. But here's my problem. Back in the original Mario Tennis, I could have matches with up to 3 AI consisting of more than one set of 2 games, or a tiebreaker for that matter. Why is there only, I guess at this moment, maybe this can be unlocked through the adventure mode or it's an online thing, I don't know. Why is there only one set of 2 games or a tiebreaker? Now I get it that this is the Switch with quick tennis games on the go, and the demo also did have one set 2 games matches, which is completely understandable, but still, Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64 had this option, why doesn't this one? Also, choosing the courts is, it's a very weird option. It's a weird way of doing it. Similar to like a Smash Brothers game, you can have it set to always be random and whatnot, and that's fine. But if you want to choose a specific court, you essentially have to go to all the courts that you currently have and set the one you do want to play to yes, and the rest to no, so that it still comes up as random. Why does it work like that? Even so, the courts from what I played do seem to be fairly typical as well as special, and I'm looking forward to trying out more of the courts. Definitely. So after doing a bit of free play, I went on to the tournament mode. The tournament mode is fairly similar to before. There's Mushroom, Flower and Star Cup. I only went up to the end of the Flower Cup because I'll tell you what, as you go through the tournament, the AI opponents do get harder. To begin with, opponents don't really use trick shots or drop shots, well, zone shots, special shots, all that stuff. But by the end of the Flower Cup, Toadette was trying to stop me there. My goodness, what? This means that there is a fair amount of strategy involved, which I'll also talk more about in terms of how you play tennis in this game. Now for the adventure mode. Probably the mode I was excited for the most because I was hoping for something, I guess, vaguely similar to the Game Boy Color version. And is that what we have? Well, yes and no. I'm not going to spoil the story for you, but it's fairly typical of a Mario game and it involves tennis matches, and that's absolutely fine. I don't necessarily have any problem with the story, with its simplicity, and it's charming. Basically, it involves moving Mario around on a world map and playing tennis. Well, it's a little bit more interesting than that, or it could potentially be a bit more interesting than that. A good portion of the time when you're playing tennis, it's heavily puzzle-based, and relies heavily on direction and the type of shots you do and doing the zone and special shots at the right time. The adventure does seem fun, but the fact that it's puzzle based does seem a bit of a turn off to me, especially at the moment where I'm struggling with one of the puzzles. But even if you are struggling with the puzzles, every time you play, Mario will level up his stats, and that seems okay, but I would kind of like to customize the stats that I would like to customize Mario's stats. I might want to do more of a offense or defense sort of thing. It seems you can get more rackets, which seems to be only available for the tournament mode. And of course, the adventure mode is how you unlock more courts and stuff. I was kind of hoping that maybe the adventure mode unlocks, additional sets and games customization options, but still. So the adventure mode, I haven't completed it yet, of course, but I'm a little bit mixed about it. And there is the swing mode, which I didn't get much of a chance to try out. It's more about swinging the Joy-Cons and doing these little games you could do with other people, and it's sort of similar to Wii Sports Tennis, I guess, but I don't have any concrete opinion on that at the moment. And regardless of my complaints about the slight lack of customization options and whatnot, I think that this game will probably be better in multiplayer and online, even if it is just a series of one set with 2 games or tiebreaker options over and over again, and maybe there's a tournament mode like in the demo. There might be quite a compelling reason to play online. So let's just talk about the general gameplay a bit more in terms of the strategy you use, the different shots you have, the special shots, all that stuff. Now, thinking back to when I played the demo a few weeks ago, the tutorial was good and fairly informative, but it did seem like it was a bit overwhelming. This is definitely not Mario Tennis or Mario Power Tennis, I guess, on the Nintendo 64 and GameCube. And again, I haven't played Ultra Smash, so you got trick shots, zone shots, special shots, and the controls are slightly complicated. They're possible. It's not like they're the most difficult controls in the world or anything, but at first you might be like, oh, I prefer the Nintendo 64 or GameCube or whatever controls. And of course, you can use the GameCube controls, but the 2 Joy-Cons attached to that thing worked just fine for me, actually. When I played the demo, the strategies and all that stuff I thought about when playing the demo seemed to have survived in the full version, and I have to say I'm actually quite intrigued by this. The energy system, especially if a game lasts longer, which I saw more so in tournament mode, seems to you really have to decide the best times to use your zone shots and special shots. Zone shots take up less energy than special shots, but you still would want to save your energy. Like maybe if you're going for the championship point or match point, you might want to save your best shot ever for that moment. You just better hope that your characters don't return it or that your aim is good. You don't want to get the ball out and waste that energy, or the character will be able to return it without breaking their racket. Breaking the rackets and stuff does seem kind of interesting. It's still more about timing than anything else in regards to blocking shots and whatnot, so that can be a bit tricky. But overall, the energy levels and some of the basic shots and all that, and movement and all that of tennis, that have essentially been around since Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64, are still fun to play around with, and I guess that, if anything else, makes me want to play more of the game. And speaking of the controls, I did play this on handheld mode. It works smoothly, plays like a dream, and the production values are nice. It looks smooth and colourful and vibrant, and there's a fair amount of charm. Though being a Mario sports game, I guess it does lack some of the charm in more of a mainline Mario games such as Mario Odyssey. So overall, the strategies involved and the different characters and courts with their hazards or whatever do seem kind of cool, but the relative lack of content as well as aspects of the adventure mode with the puzzles and whatnot do leave me somewhat disappointed. So after spending 3 hours of the game, I do want to play more of it, but I'm still a little bit unsure of it. I might do a review of it in the future, especially when I've had more time to maybe do multiplayer online and see what else Nintendo has to offer us online and all that stuff in the future. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this first impressions video, and whether I do a Mario Tennis Aces review or not, I hope you are patient for it. Or then maybe I might get to play with you guys online on Mario Tennis Aces. We can sharpen up those tennis skills and play some very competitive games together. Until then, have a good day or night or whatever it is, and wahoo! See you very soon! Or why did I end it like that?